You know, California has always been famous for its massive public higher education system. It was seen as a model for the entire world, a real engine of opportunity. But that visionary promise? It's facing a serious crisis today. Let's break down what exactly went wrong.
And to really get a handle on the scale of this problem, it all comes down to one number: 75%. That's the percentage of all college students in California who start their journey at a community college. It's that simple. When they do well, the entire state does well.
So in this explainer, we're going to unpack how we got to this point. We'll start with the original master plan, then look at how much the state has transformed. We'll find the cracks in the system, explore a really interesting paradox, and finally ask what it means to rethink the whole dream.
All right, so let's jump back in time. We've got to go all the way back to 1960 to really understand the original vision for California's college system.
You have to understand, the master plan was absolutely revolutionary. It was the first time a state had ever promised a spot in higher education for every single resident who wanted one. It was this celebrated, coordinated system built on a really simple but incredibly powerful promise: access for all.
And it was built on 3 clear tiers. Right at the top, you had the elite University of California system, the UCs. That was for the top 12.5% of high school grads, and it was the state's main research hub. Then you had the California State University system, the CSUs, for the top third of students, with a focus on teaching. And the foundation holding it all up? The California Community Colleges. They guaranteed open access to absolutely everyone, and their main job was to get students ready to transfer to those 4-year universities.
But here's the catch. The California that plan was designed for in 1960, it looks almost nothing like the California of today.
Yeah, the California of 1960 is basically gone. The state has gone through this huge demographic transformation. Today, Latino residents are the single largest group, and students of color are the clear majority in our public schools. So the system is serving a completely different student body now.
And this massive shift has reshaped the schools themselves. The state now has more so-called minority-serving institutions, or MSIs, than anywhere else. These are schools that are federally recognized for enrolling a high percentage of minority students. And here's the really crucial part. In California, most of these MSIs are community colleges.
Okay, you've got this new student majority being served by a system that was designed for a totally different era. And, well, now the cracks are really starting to show.
In fact, researchers now argue that what was once supposed to be a ladder to opportunity has become, and this is a quote, a social sieve. So instead of lifting students up, the system is now kind of sorting them. And in doing that, it's controlling who gets access to opportunity based on race and class.
And one of the biggest reasons for this sorting is, you guessed it, it comes down to money. The community colleges, which serve the most students by far, get way less state funding per student than the CSU and UC systems. Just think about that for a second. The main entry point for most people is also the most underfunded part of the system.
And this funding gap has a direct line to equity. An overwhelming majority of students of college start their college careers in that least funded segment, the community colleges. So the problem becomes crystal clear. There's this huge mismatch between where the students are and where the money is going.
And that mismatch creates this really powerful and, honestly, pretty frustrating paradox, where these schools are succeeding in some ways, but failing at what might be their most important job.
So let's start with the success story, because there is one. Between 2003 and 2013, full-time enrollment for Latino students in these minority-serving community colleges just skyrocketed by 149%. That shows an incredible hunger for higher education. The students are there, they're showing up, and they're ready to go. But that amazing enrollment boom is hiding a tough reality. Because while more Latino students are getting into the system than ever before, they also have the lowest rate of transfer to 4-year universities. It's like the front door is wide open, but the path forward is blocked.
So what's really going on here? Well, the research shows that the MSI community colleges are actually doing their jobs really well. They're keeping students enrolled, and they're awarding more 2-year degrees and certificates than ever. But the system itself has this massive bottleneck. That crucial path from a 2-year degree to a 4-year degree is jammed, and it's preventing the very upward mobility the whole system was designed to create.
And all of this forces us to ask a really tough question. What is the next chapter for the California dream?
When you boil it all down, the ultimate takeaway is this: a plan that was absolutely visionary for the California of 1960 now acts as a barrier for the new majority of students it's supposed to be serving.
And so, that leaves us with this one critical question.
The master plan built California's past, for sure. It created opportunity for generations. But for today's new generation of students in a totally new world, what's the plan that's going to build California's future?